welcome. We turn off some other audio stuff going on here. Hello, good morning. Good morning, unscripted watchers and main channel watchers. I am pleased today to have my favorite drone pilot, my favorite dude, and became a good friend of mine, Jake Sloan. Let's bring him in on this thing. Hopefully. Let's check it out. Boom. Boom. Yo!
Yo!
Hi, baby.
I feel overexposed. There. That's better.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Big Q&A. And hey, well done. I've been beating on Jake all in fun about his drone course. Very basic, like how do you fly a drone? How do you do things? And I think it was just last night or yesterday. He got it done. And I was like, yeah, baby, you done did it. So, well done, man. Hey, first question. What drone should I buy?
Whichever one I've got affiliate links for in the description. No, that question gets asked a lot. I think anybody who reviews stuff on YouTube, probably that's like 50% of the questions that get asked. What this should I buy? And I always start by asking, what are people's end goal? What do they want to use the drone to do? Because there's usually a couple of different levels where, like this drone, which is the Mini 2, actually, it's one of my favorites. It's just little, it's inexpensive, and it fits in your camera bag. It's like this, like it's the smaller than my cup of coffee, which, by the way, is Kaladi Brothers.
Yeah.
Really, really great coffee company.
Affiliate link below. We don't know.
Coffee affiliate link below. But for most people, like, this is great. But if somebody wants to track themselves, like they're, snowboarding or doing something like that, mountain biking, then they're going to want a different, a version that tracks themselves. And so, for most people though, the Mini 2, I think, is probably one of the best drones that people can buy. It's inexpensive, it flies well, captures great footage, good photos, and it's just super easy to pack with you. Plus, in almost, I think, just about every country in the world, you don't have to register it or you don't have to get a special license to be able to use it, which is a big plus for a lot of people.
Yeah, I had a DJI Mini Pro something or another, and actually, I sold it to this guy right here. And then I ended up buying the Mini 2 in December to take with me on my Aruba trip. And I love this thing. I freaking love this thing. It's easy. I've only smashed it into something like 6 times. And and I'm not sitting there with a $2,000 drone going, ah. So, yeah. So you would, if you're just getting into droning, you suggest the Mini 2?
I do, yeah. Just because it's inexpensive, and regardless of how capable the drone is, you're likely going to crash a few times. Mm-hmm. And so starting with something that's less expensive, it hurts a little bit less if you do crash. And I mean, I've crashed this thing a couple of times, and it, other than like some broken props or some stuff like that, it replaced those and it flies fine. But, you could, in theory, crash it to the point where it's not going to come back or something. And I've crashed a couple of times like that too, where some of my drones are still out there. Yeah. Where they found their final resting place. And, I mean, that's part of some of my jobs is flying in high risk areas. So some of that's a risk. Sometimes those drones don't come back. But yeah, I recommend this thing. It's a great little drone. I'm consistently surprised at how well it flies, and even in wind or adverse conditions, it does great.
Yeah, when I was in Aruba, and I found out there's always wind there. It's like 25 or 30 mile an hour winds, and I'm looking at this thing going, and then I'm looking at the phone, and it's just
flying
sitting there
along like
stable.
this.
Yeah.
And it's sitting there in one spot, but it's like this just to stay level or stay stable.
And the footage was mind blown. It blew my mind. I was like, to hell with my... No, I'm going to diss everybody. The hell with my camera stabilizers. I'm just going to lob this thing up in the air. Hey, here's a question and a good segue, and give everybody time to get some coffee and really enjoy stuff. What makes someone an expert? Hey, Kaladi Coffee. Hey, Kaladi Coffee. We've been tweeting you and Twittering you and stuff like that, and you don't even come back at us. We'll still drink your coffee. But, man, you got good coffee, so
Such good
pay
coffee.
us money.
That's right. They need to
sponsor.
sponsor you.
Yeah, and you too. I like it.
I'd take it.
Yeah, bag of coffee on the back of a drone. Woohoo! Here's a question. What makes someone an expert? Okay, I'm going to apologize for the quality of the video that I'm going to show you right now. But let me show you what makes someone an expert. Check this out. Grab your coffee. Enjoy. Here you go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what makes a drone expert. That's really beautiful, dude. I didn't have another clip where you're doing the FPV stuff and
Oh, yeah.
flying through stuff in gymnasiums. Can you explain what the difference between a regular drone? Like when I first started this, connected up to you, I was like, what is an FPV drone? Can you explain that to people who are new to this, please?
I can. In fact, I brought visual aids. So this is the smallest of what you would call a GPS drone or a stabilized drone. So these are the most commonly known one is made by DJI. The Mavic Mini, the Mini 2, the DJI can't get their naming conventions straight, but whatever. And this drone basically, it's fairly simple to fly. You take off. It will, if you let go of the sticks, it'll hold its position and kind of sit there and wait for you to do something. And the whole goal of it is to capture really smooth, really steady video. Most of the times where the horizon stays perfectly level all the way through your shots, and you can tilt the gimbal down and get angles like that. So that's a normal, what we call a GPS stabilized drone. An FPV drone is now there's a commercial option available, but generally you build them or you buy ones that are built by somebody. And the whole point of this is to go fast. They started out as racing drones, and then people started sticking GoPros on them and capturing footage that way. And now I've got one that will carry a red camera because I've been hired a couple of times to do jobs where they're like, no, we want to do this, but with a red camera. And I'm, okay, if you sign a waiver that says I'm not responsible for the red camera, fine. But these fly really fast, and everything about them feels more like you're flying an airplane. The other differences with these is that you are flying them with goggles on, and what you see is coming from this camera here. So FPV stands for first person view, which means you feel like you're sitting right here flying this drone at high speed, ripping around. The other difference is that, so the footage is very different. The horizon's tilting and moving, be more like you would be if you were filming from an airplane or a helicopter. And then one of the other differences is that this typically gets about like 3 to 5 minutes of flight per battery, whereas this will get 26 minutes flight per battery. So in a sense, like it's using a gimbal and using a POV camera, a point of view camera, where like a GoPro just strapped on you. It's really high energy, lots of movement, really dynamic, where this can be a fair amount of movement, but it always has this really smooth, stabilized sort of feel to it. Yeah, that's the difference. The other difference is that this is 100% dependent on you, the pilot, to keep it in the air. There's no like automated, you can't let go of the sticks and it'll just sit there. It'll just fall like a rock out of the sky if you let go.
Wow. Hey, check this out. These things are so super stable. This is the Mavic, the Mini, whatever you call it. Watch this. I haven't done all of Jake's course yet, so I haven't practiced. Check that out. Isn't that cool? Woo!
See, I guess not with the Mini 2. You have to use one of the larger drones. But they make a controller with a smart controller that has HDMI out. You could be live streaming. That could be like a C camera for you. If you
really?
but it'd have to be a bigger drone.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. I did a test of this. Look, I don't even know the controls yet.
I have a section in my course built just for you, Kevin.
We're landing.
That's a good idea.
Okay. I was testing this out. I went through your course, which is awesome, by the way. Beginner stuff, but it's all like so important if you're going to get into drones. And I started flying this thing, and I was like, what the heck? Maybe I can start this thing up during the live stream. I was playing around with it, and I hit the stick wrong, and it bashed right into this C-stand.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, I need to stop that. Anyway, I said I was going to do that, and I did that. Let's check out the comments. And in the meantime, could you explain the ins and outs, the yes and no's, the must and must nots of this whole, because many people in here may not know about this Part 107 drone license stuff?
Yes, I can. And just to be clear for everybody, like the course that I put together is not a course teaching you how to get a Part 107. There's quite a few people out there who do that really well already. And frankly, it's a fast evolving space, and so they're constantly updating to keep abreast of what the FAA is doing and the governing body, at least in the United States. So in the United States, if you're going to use your drone for what the FAA says is in furtherance of a business, which is the broadest possible terms to basically say if a business is using drone footage to make money in like almost any way, then that would be considered in furtherance of a business. Then you need to get a Part 107, which is basically like a pilot's license for drones, for drone operators. So I have a Part 107 because I use drones a lot in my work, in my workflow, both on YouTube and on other places. So that's kind of the gist of it. And I encourage anybody who really wants to get into flying drones or wants to fly drones a lot. I encourage people to get their Part 107 either way. It opens up certain opportunities for you to be able to fly that not having it doesn't. It also, of course, opens up the fact that if you captured some really cool footage and you wanted to sell it as stock footage, you can do that. And it teaches you a lot about airspace, airspace management, places you can fly, can't fly. Now in the course, because this course is really aimed at people who they just went out to Best Buy and bought a drone, or they got one for Christmas or whatever, I do cover some of the stuff that especially I see people not doing is they go out and buy a drone and then they find out they can't fly anywhere near their house because they're right next to an airport or they're in a restricted airspace of some sort. So I do cover ways the first flight you want to go and take is you want to go out and do it in a big open space so that you don't hopefully crash a bunch. And as I go through ways you can go and find places that you can fly legally, safely, and not have any issues, at least as far as the FAA is concerned. But so the Part 107 license is needed for anybody who wants to fly a drone and make money with it in some way, whether it's selling footage or even in theory posting drone footage on a monetized YouTube channel falls under that, but that's one of those kind of gray areas, but you technically should have a Part 107 if you're posting drone videos to a monetized YouTube channel. But if you're just going and posting videos on Facebook for friends and family, you're putting it on your Instagram just for fun, that kind of stuff, you don't necessarily need a Part 107 for that.
Is it a hard test? Is it okay, when starting your drone, don't fly it into your face? Or is it all these pilot-y
well, there
things?
are questions like that. But it's phrased like it came from the government, so it's more confusing and convoluted than that. But yeah, there's questions like that. No, I studied for it for maybe 8 hours and then took it and passed with 88%. Especially if you take some of the, there's Remote Pilot 101 and there's a few others out there that basically, they take you down a whole thing where they take you from the start of you've never even thought about airplanes to you run through everything you need to be able to go and pass a test. And I think most people that I've seen have been able to go and study for it for a day or maybe 2 days if they split it up, and then go and pass the test with I don't know what they say, their rate of accuracy is 99% pass rate or something like that. It's pretty high. So it's not super complicated. The hard thing for most people is looking at, because they do want you to be able to look at a chart of airspace and be able to read it and understand it. And once you kind of grab a hold of, the way it's like map reading. Once you kind of grab a hold of the way they're writing stuff onto the map and what the different symbols mean, then it's pretty straightforward.
Nice.
So, a couple of days and you could pass it and have your Part 107. And then once you have it, the nice thing is it's every 2 years you go online and you take a test that's just online, and it's really simple. It's not a test, but it's like it's a recurrency thing that where you go through and they ask you some of the questions and make sure you still know what you're doing.
So every 2 years, so then you take this 107, you pass it, now you have your drone license, and then every 2 years you basically re-up, kind of like a driver's license. You get it renewed.
Yeah, very similar. And the same thing happens for manned aviation pilots. Every 2 years, they take a check ride with a certified instructor, and that certified instructor signs off that, yeah, they can still fly a plane safely and they're not going to crash as soon as they take off. And it's one of those things where, airplanes and stuff like that can cause a lot of damage. Same thing with cars. If somebody shouldn't be driving, they really shouldn't be driving.
Yeah,
if they can't see the road, then they probably shouldn't be behind a wheel.
That's why they take a driving test.
That's right.
Cool question here. Michael Finn, he's a wildlife photographer. He's really good. Hi, Jake. I have 2 questions. I have a Mavic Mini, and I'm wondering if the new version is better in the wind than the original, and how far away do you feel comfortable flying it?
So the new version is quite a bit better in the wind, and substantially better. I'd say it's probably like 40-50% better or more, maybe even. Actually, it's a lot better than. I didn't get the original because of how little wind it could handle, and also because how far away you could fly it. So the Mini 2 has a new different control system that's basically the same as like the bigger Mavic Pro 2, the Air 2, and so you could fly it away from miles away and have no issues. You shouldn't. You're supposed to keep it within your line of sight. So, half mile to a mile out is probably about as far as you can go and still see the drone. But I've flown mine that far out with no problems at all. It's got a really solid control link, and in the wind, that's
the wind is amazing. As I said,
it really is. It's like you sit there and you watch the thing, and it's tilted over like this, bobbing around, and you're like, but the video coming out of it still is perfectly stable and great. And the first time I took mine out to fly it and film the video I did about it on my channel, like, there was times where the gusts would hit the drone, and I would watch it go like this and then go like this as it like compensated for the wind, and then it was. I mean, I was like, okay, yep, this is a great little drone.
Blew my mind. Trevor Bagwell. Several channels reported getting in trouble with FAA over YouTube drone footage without 107. See, I just say this because, not that I'm a pessimist, but I hear all blah, blah, blah about all sorts of different things. And usually in the end, I trace it all down, and it's like, okay, whatever. The guy was like, smashing his drone into people's heads. Can you get in trouble doing YouTube videos and flying a drone in them? I don't know.
Well, so yes and no.
That's a loaded question. That's like saying, can you get in trouble if you're speeding? So I'm sorry.
Right.
I'll retract
exactly.
that
It's
question.
like, if it's the end of the month and the cop hasn't hit his quota, then you could get in trouble. No, so with the FAA, a lot of the channels that have reported that trouble is they have been flying in ways that are illegal, and one of them he got or is getting fined like $180,000.
Well,
and if you look at it on the surface, you're like, well, dear Lord. But in his case, he was live streaming himself doing things that are totally illegal, and the FAA sent him and tried to contact him multiple times over the course of like 9 months, and he ignored all of it and kept doing what he was doing.
That's what I meant. There's usually some story behind it. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, my YouTube channel got shut down and YouTube sucks, and you find out they're streaming bad
Yeah,
things.
exactly. And they're flying, like in the rain over people, way beyond around buildings where they can't see the drone and they don't really, I mean, it's all kinds of stuff like that. So, but if you're filming with a drone and you're posting it on your YouTube channel, but your YouTube channel isn't monetized, and then you're fine technically.
Hey, look at this.
Um,
It's even stricter in some aspects of Canada. Need registration and license to fly anything over 25 grams? Really?
I think he meant to say 250 grams because that's the limit even in Canada.
Uh,
That's why I recommend this drone is so great because it fits underneath a lot of those every registration requirement, stuff like that.
Brilliant.
I know a company in Canada that is commercial and they have like 20 of these because they still have to get their commercial license to fly, but it's just so much simpler to deal with the regulations on this drone than bigger drones. So they just fly a whole bunch of these most of the time. And yeah, so that's another reason I recommend this. Is this makes it much easier. Like you could buy this, you don't have to register it in the United States with the FAA to go out and fly it because it's under 259 grams or 249 grams.
My brother, when I first bought it last December, then I went and visited him and my mom for Christmas and stuff. He also bought a Mini too. And what fun. And he went out to the FAA or someplace where you pay $5. It's under whatever grams. And they give you a license and a number and you paste it on your little drone, whether you need it or not, and you're legit. Here's an interesting question. I take my Part 107 exam in less than a week. I know the remote ID thing isn't necessary yet, but will it be in the Part 107 exam? Basically, they're doing this thing where they want to put remote IDs in addition in a year or two, I think it is, so they can identify who you are, where you're flying, so you're legit. What do you think about this one, Jake?
Yeah, there'll be questions about remote ID in there because remote ID also ties into flying at night and some of the new flying over people rules. So there'll be a few questions in there, but not a lot. Most of the questions on the first Part 107 test are about weather, about sectional charts. So make sure you really understand how to look at a sectional chart and read it. And then also how to look at they're called METARs, and it's the way the FAA spits out weather information in a really weird coded format. Make sure you understand how to look at those and understand what's going on, because that's most of the questions in the first Part 107 test.
METARs. I missed the comment. There was some comment in here about that I thought it was about meters. So that's maybe what the person was talking about, and I'm sorry.
I think that was Sunrise. He was talking about the METARs hurt his brain.
Totally.
And it is because you get this, like, it's just this string of numbers and letters, and you have to interpret that out to, like, it's cloudy at 2,000 feet, and it's rain below that, and the wind is blowing from 150 degrees at 30 knots, but it's gusting at 25 knots, or, just like... But it all comes out in this little tiny line of numbers and letters all strung together, and you have to know how to interpret that into what it means.
For those new to this, again, the Mini 2 is awesome. Both in Aruba and here in my backyard. I did a, what do you call it? I did a range test on the Road Go 2 by taping it to the back of the drone. It's really cool because you run the app. It tells you if you're safe. It locks into the GPS. When you get up to about 390, 400, it says, I'm not going to fly any higher. I think you might be able to disable that, but it's really cool because it says, hey, you're flying in a bad zone. You can't fly here. You shouldn't. You're flying too high at the legal limit. And if you do that and you don't fly around people, like, I mean, come on, if you go up in the sky and there's people a mile away, but it's really cool because it really handles all that stuff for you, and you don't have to worry about going out and shooting unless you use your brains. Hey, Kevin, how close can you fly your drone to your camera? Well, it was that close. It was about this far away, and I'm probably never doing that again. Whoa, what's this? Oh, okay, here we go.
I will say the other reason I really love this drone is it's quiet. Like, people don't believe me, but I will have this hovering 6-7 feet away behind me in my video and then talking to the camera, and you can't even hear this. I've had a few people go like, what sort of noise reduction software are you using? How are you getting rid of the drone sound? I'm like, well, it really is just that quiet. It's great that way.
Hey, look at this one. Here is a bunch of stuff that no one, but probably, well, let me say, here's a bunch of stuff that Trevor and you know, and I don't. Metarsil 22, blah, 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 blah. What the heck is all that stuff?
So it has location, that has time, and then it has direction and speed of wind, and then it has, let's see, visibility information.
Is
it has
this on the
cloud
test?
information. Yeah, this kind of stuff is on the test. So this is describing the weather at the whatever location he's using there. In all of those numbers there. So like this 17006 KT is the wind is coming from 170 or 170 degrees at 6 knots. So, and then where it says FEW 270, that means there's a few clouds at, what is it, 2700? Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
And on. So yeah, you go through there, you're like, okay, that kind of stuff that's the hardest stuff to learn because it's so like, what in the heck is going on? But once you kind of get the cipher, you can break the code down pretty easy and go, oh, okay, I know what that means. I know. And
well done on the chorus. And this is a joke. I've been playing with Jake for a while. So Jake, when's the How Do I Pass the 107 course coming out?
I have a link for you for that. There's a guy who does a great... I have asked that question a few times, and I'm like, there are people that are doing such a great job. I don't want to like try and duplicate what they're doing, and it's a whole nother ball of wax because you are, at least in the United States. In Canada, it's even more different, but in the United States, to get to Part 107, you're like doing 90% of the written test to get a private pilot's license, which it's kind of dumb because you're flying a drone. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't apply to you, but at the same time, it's like, okay.
That kind of scares me, but on the other hand, maybe you don't need the data, but you probably learn a lot, right?
Oh yeah, and that's why I encourage people to get it because your understanding of what's going on around you in the air and just the whole your ability to see and know what you can and can't do, what's safe and what's not safe, what's allowed and what's not allowed, and where you can fly and where you can't fly, and it really, really opens up a whole new level and a much broader horizon of places you can fly and ways you can fly.
Here's a pile of things I'm not going to address anymore. There's one. 2216 winds 170 magnetic Oz winds variable blah 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 blah. I'm going to get buried in things I don't understand. But here's a cool question. I have one eye and was curious how much you guys rely on the sensors preventing collisions. One-eyed drone pilot. Sounds cool, eh? Lol. On the Mavic Mini, you don't have obstacle avoidance, correct?
That's right. You don't. And I always encourage people, don't rely on obstacle avoidance because it's over there, but I've got a drone that has, it has 6 4K cameras that their whole purpose is to look for obstacles. But even that thing will miss small obstacles like small tree branches, small wires and stuff like that. And so I'm always like, don't rely on obstacle avoidance. It's great, and it will save you from time to time. But if you're relying on it, you're gonna have a problem sooner or later, and you'll wish you hadn't relied on it 100% because it can fail.
Yeah, I now I'm being serious. Okay, I'm never being serious, but this is actually a cool question. All that info is great to know, but where's the focal length and shutter speed? I am dearly hoping, dear sir, kind sir, drone guru. Hey, look, I made him blush. Woo! That there's going to be a follow-on course to this basic one, which is awesome, by the way. Learn, go practice is what I got, and there's some really cool shots in there. Really cool shots. Like, I was like, oh, that's what that means, and that's how you do that. I'm dearly hoping at some point you're coming out with an add-on course going from, okay, now you got your drone and you got your basics, you could fly, and you got the muscle memory, and you know all the terms, that you're going to come out with a lead-on or an add-on course about actually filming with this.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the plan. So the plan is next. So that'll be what, next year at the rate I'm going? Because when did you start asking me about this course, Kevin? Wasn't it last year some point?
When I heard about it, I think it was, no, it wasn't. Maybe I did. I know I was joking with you a lot,
but January or something.
Yeah, January.
Feels like January. A long time ago.
January. So that was your first course. January, February, March, April, May. Took you 4 months. So heck, the next course should only take you about a month.
Yeah, piece of cake. Well, and because, actually part of the first course is like setting up the whole back end and the website, and then all of that stuff too is a whole another ball of wax. But that my plan is the next courses, or the next, add-on next steps is I probably will do something about really advanced flying. There's a lot of techniques I use regularly that are they're more difficult to master, and I start on some of them in this course, like combining your controls together to create some of the more dynamic shots. So I'll go to that, but then definitely I want to jump into something about filming and more in depth on the whole videography and photography side of using drones, the way you want to use them, kind of the role that they fill in a filming kit. And so that's the plan, especially now that it's summer up here and I can film a lot of it outside. I've been working hard on it.
This is interesting. Sound speeds. Well, first, I'm not ignoring the goofball comments. Actually, there are a ton of comments, and I'm practicing at not going off into blah, 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 blah. But then sound speeds. This is Alan. You should check his channel out, by the way. He's a real-life boom operator, does big movies and TV and stuff like that.
And he's got a great voice.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I hear him talking, I'm like, man, the dude sounds like a voiceover artist. Like, he's just got this great voice. Yeah.
He should be a voiceover artist. He's like, yeah, whatever, dude. And then Sunrise says, actually, that's really important. Listening while flying. No joke. Sunrise, by the way, I've seen some of his videos, and he does that FPV stuff, which I'm not there. It's real easy for me to, and I get, I'm a noob. I haven't practiced, but I get it up. It's 200 feet. I'm flying, and I lose it. Where'd the drone go? I don't know where it is. I start getting a little freaky, and I know that's practice. But listening while flying, talk about that. Important?
It's, especially because manned aviation has the right of way over everything else in the sky. And for good reason, obviously, there's people flying around. So listening is super important to know that, if there's an airplane you hear behind you or a helicopter or something like that, that you got to get out of the way of it as fast as possible. And especially here in Alaska, where we have a bazillion small airplanes that are always flying 50, 60, 70 to 100 feet off the ground, because that's what pilots in Alaska do. And I got to admit, I do that too. Whenever I'm flying with friends, we're always down really low because it's more fun. And but listening is really important to know, like, oh man, I got an airplane coming from behind me. I got to get my drone down and out of the way. Especially because up to this point, there have been zero fatal accidents involving drones and manned aviation. There have been incidents where they've collided, but none of them have ever turned out really badly, thankfully. But we want to keep it that way because otherwise, as soon as one of those things happen, is the chance that all of these politicians will jump on to pass a whole bunch of laws and regulations that make everybody else's life, like Sunrise and myself, just way more miserable.
Well,
Because,
in my opinion, that's the reason all these came into effect and higher drones and flying over people, because there were, as usual, a small segment of people who are being idiots. And they're flying over people, and they're flying over stadiums, and they're flying by airports. And the government went, whoa, dudes, you're flying by an airport with a drone. What happens if a plane hits that? That's whatever. Hey, this is a cool comment. Listening for abnormal sounds upon launch, like Jake said. In fact, I was watching his course and I heard an airplane in the background. This is a point I didn't actually think about, but I remember doing. You go, you launch, it hovers. If you hear something weird going on, time to go down, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that's the other reason that it's good to listen, because if the drone goes up and it doesn't sound, and you'll appreciate this, Kevin, because you're a musician too. But when you can hear things that are working in harmony, there's no beats between. There's nothing fighting itself because it's in harmony, right? And when you're playing guitar, if something's out of tune, you can hear it because it fights against the other notes in that chord structure. The same is true with drones. You've got 4 motors all spinning, and if they don't sound like they're getting along, then something's wrong. You might have a prop that's bent or broken and it's throwing the motor out of balance or something like that. So if you take off and you hear this thing's kind of like making odd but not smooth sounds, you should land and figure out why.
I clicked into that in Aruba. I just had this. I was flying around, or maybe it was in Florida with my brother, who, by the way, major kudos to my bro. Short story, then we'll get back to this question. We were flying. We were both noobs at this, going up over the house. I set my bag, my drone and everything, on the back bumper of one of his kids' cars. And we're out flying and everything else, and his kid went off to work and drove away with the drone. Like $600, $700. Drove away. I didn't think about it. And then I was like, no. Fortunately, I had the footage on my phone. I could see him driving away. And he took me out in his car. We traveled all over the place. We called him. He didn't know about it. And we spent about an hour looking for this thing. And fortunately, he's some part of neighborhood Facebooky whatever, and some lady found it.
Oh, nice.
In a place we weren't even... Yeah, I just had this thing and flew it like twice. Some lady found it. And we went, and she had it, and it was fine. She picked up all the parts because the bag was open, and I pulled $100 out of my wallet. And she was like, no. And I gave it to her. Anyway, shout out to the bro for that. My goal, this is Dave, Post Color Gear. Good channel. My goal is just going to be able to train my brain to flip the controls in my head with the drone facing me. Hey, this is one of the things that Jake covers in his course. And when I was watching, I was like, aha. Now, you could go, okay, fine. Yeah, you fly this way and you train your brain, and you fly the other way and you train your brain. I'm not going to say there's more to it. Yeah, I am. There's more to it. Go take the course. Hey, he has a section in his course about that. Captain Jack, now that the remote ID rule has been passed, does that mean your old drone needs additional equipment to comply with the law?
Not yet. We have a few years before any old drones have to be retrofitted with equipment that has yet to be invented or created. So there's government for you. Do this, and there's no way to do it yet. Like technically now I'm certified to fly over people, except for that I have to put propeller guards on this, and the drone still has to weigh under 249 grams, which this is not possible yet with any drones that are on the market. So, but yeah, and we've got 20, it's 21, 22, I think two December of 22, if I'm doing the math right, or it might be December 23 before we have to comply with old drones. But by then, like, this will be so antiquated at the rate technology goes forward,
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, the same reason that Apple releases a new iPhone every year is because it's the latest and greatest, and it does everything more and better and faster and
Absolutely.
on and on. The
And we
same
all
is
go
true.
buy it.
Right. And the thing is, like, manufacturers, their drones have to start complying. New drones they're selling have to start complying the end of next year, I think. And again, if I'm doing my math right. And so, and this actually already has the technology on it to be compliant. It just is a matter of turning it on, which would be a firmware update and stuff like that. And the other one that they released this year, the Air 2S, same thing. It has everything already ready to go, built into it. It's just a matter of turning it on.
Here's an interesting question. I went and grabbed my drone so I could be cool like Jake and hold mine up, except mine's blinking and has little lights and stuff.
Yeah. Wait.
Can
Where's my
you
battery? Do you have a battery? Oh, I do.
Can you make a drone flip? I'm talking to Kevin, not Jake. I know Jake can. I have no idea. I like if you're sitting here with this thing. Hey, focus, dude. Whoop. If you're sitting here with this thing, is it possible? It seems stupid that you would want to do this, but is it possible that this thing, you could make it flip, or even worse, that it would flip by itself in some way? Because I would just flip out.
No. These drones are not designed to flip. So if it does flip, there's going to be problems, other problems, like way too much wind or something like that. Now these drones, that's what they're built for. They can do acrobatics and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know exactly how old you are, Kevin, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and I got gray hair to prove it. The first 6 months that I was flying with these goggles, I was flying. And by the way, I am going to do a course about learning to fly FPV drones because I've had a lot of people ask me that. And it is great fun. You can get these little ones that are this big. You can fly them around inside your house and crash all day long, and it's fine. They just bounce off the walls and keep going. But the first few months that I was learning to fly FPV, I was flying with these. And one of the little ones like this, they're like this big. And me and a buddy would be racing around a gymnasium, a basketball gymnasium that I've got access to in the winter. And we would get done flying, and both of us would be in our chairs like this because we would have been flying around in circles, going left, and the whole world had been tilted. And so neither one of us ever actually quite fell out of our chairs, but man, we came close. And there was a lot of times where I was learning to do rolls or flips or loops where I was like, oh, I better sit down while I'm doing this, or I am going to sit down, but it's not going to be very fun.
I didn't know that. I saw some of your videos on Twitter and stuff where you're flying through this gymnasium, another one, you're flying through this. And I think there was one in the house or something like that.
Yep.
Where you're flying. I mean, these things are fast. And
oh man, yeah. They're tiny. They're this big, but they'll go 40 miles an hour, 30 to 40 miles an hour. And when you're doing that, you think, oh, basketball gymnasium, that's fairly large. But at 40 miles an hour, that space gets really small, really fast.
so
my
Go ahead.
My favorite thing to do is we would fly around because there's doors on each side, and we'd fly around the doors, through the hallway, and back in the other doors. And then he and I would sit apart from each other just inside of one of the doors. And so we'd come and we'd fly right between ourselves, going as fast as we possibly could, because why not? And it's the most existential, surreal, out of this world experience when you see your own head coming at you and you're going to hit yourself, and then you feel it hit yourself in the back of your head while you're watching. It's just this weird, bizarre, out-of-body experience. You're like, oh, there's me. Oh, this is going to hurt. And then I mean, fortunately, they don't they're nothing. They're so small. They just bounce off of you, and it's just kind of like, oh, what? Yeah, that was my head that I was looking at. Yep, that's okay.
That's cool. I didn't know they were all so small, and that you could fly them around the house and stuff. Because like this, I I've done this very carefully. Go down the stairs very carefully. But it hits a wall and it just goes, okay, whatever, dude. That's interesting. Captain Jack, you probably can't do this, or maybe you can. Bring out your largest drone. Whatever.
It would take me like 30 seconds to go grab it.
Uh-oh.
Do you want to rant on something while I go grab it?
Well, maybe I'll answer this question since it's kind of off topic. Why don't I do this question, and why don't you go grab it? Oh, yeah, Kaladi Coffee Shot. We're not affiliated. We just found out we drink the same coffee. Any advice on creating a portfolio in order to get the job I want? I have editing skills also, which I know will help. The job you want as a video editor? Yeah, I would make YouTube videos, or I would go over to Vimeo, which seems like it's slowly dying, and just post stuff. Just post stuff showing off your editing skills. Or if you're a really good editor, make video editing tutorials and stuff like that. And watch out on Twitter. There are occasionally posts where somebody says, hey, job, so-and-so wants a video editor. They need it. I assume you're talking about creating a portfolio as a video editor. As a drone pilot? I don't know. Jake said, no, it's worth it or not. Hey, he's going to be on next week, and he's going to talk about what it's like to run a review channel, and that's going to be fun. If you use the battery from the China version of the Mini 2, it will still be under 250 grams with prop guards. I don't know if that's a question or a statement. I don't know.
It was a statement because this is the only drone right now you could legally fly over people if it has prop guards. But the problem is the US version is a little heavier than the China version, I guess. So with the China version, you can put on the prop guards and you could fly over people because the batteries are lighter or smaller or something like that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So does it... The US one is 249.
Well,
so you're good, right?
It's actually less. I've weighed this and it comes in at like mine comes in at 230 something.
Oh.
So yeah,
so
I
you're
guess
good.
It should be good. If you put the prop guards on and you're still under 249, then I can fly over people, which is pretty cool.
Interesting. By the way, Andre made a video. Whoa. Okay,
that's my biggest.
I'm going to say this really quick. Andre made a video which was interesting. I didn't know about this. That if you leave your batteries in here and in the charging unit, there's a problem with those and they can discharge. I sent that to my brother. He's like, ugh. An cool video. I didn't know that. And apparently they're going to do a firmware update to handle that. Enough of that because I want to see this thing. Whoa.
So, this is my largest drone. I built this. This is built to carry red. This is the red Komodo. So this fits on here nicely and flies at speeds up to, but not exceeding 99 miles an hour. Because if I exceeded 99 miles an hour, that would be illegal. And I don't do that.
Really?
But I have flown this, so far I think the fastest I've flown is about 89 miles an hour.
There's a speed limit for drones.
Yes, but you can go faster. You just have to apply for a waiver and, fill out form 3,216 in triplicate and wait 6 to 9 months for somebody to get back to you and all of that. But yeah.
Look at that thing. Is that 8 props?
Yes, it's 8-inch propellers and 8 motors that go really fast. And it sounds really, really angry when it takes off because it just has this aggressive sound to it. It's a lot of fun to fly, but it's a little terrifying. So
I put this one. This is the Mavic Mini. I put this one on. This is fly like, was it 24? I think it's 36 miles an hour and whatever super speed mo. I don't know. That's plenty fast, dude, in my opinion.
There's the Mini.
Wow.
This drone.
Wow. Well, and you're putting a red camera on it, and that's not like a 2-ounce camera.
No. So I think total with the red, like I've put a 5 or 6 7 pound dumbbell on this and flown it around just to test
Wow.
how much weight it could handle, and it flew okay. Typically, like 3 pounds ish is the sweet spot where, so that's a Komodo with a lens and batteries and stuff like that. But
Hey,
yeah.
and if you see some of Jake's videos, he did some stuff for Caterpillar.
Yep.
Did some indoor stuff and flew through engines and did all this crazy stuff. Like, the dude knows what he's talking about, which I really appreciated taking your course, because I want to take a course from someone who knows all about it and went into the basics and the simplistics of, hey, this is how you do this. This is what it's about. Here's how you get launched, etc. That's a great course, man. I know I'm talking about that a lot, but what's this say? If you use the battery from, we did that, right? Yeah. 236 grams. Kevin can make it flip. No way, dude. Kevin can hit things. Kevin's taking Jake's course, which is super cheap.
All right.
Like,
wait,
what's the matter with you? Go ahead.
Can I show a video, Kevin? I can do it
if
off
you
my
can,
phone.
Can you?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Oh,
There we go.
cool.
Okay, so this is, and I can show this now because Caterpillar started releasing the videos of this, but this is me flying this red camera on the big FPV drone indoor for a Caterpillar shoot that they did.
Well, let's do it. Holy. What?
And this is just the raw video, it's not like finessed or stabilized or anything like that, but
What? Look at that. If people are listening to this as a podcast later, well, you just have to go see it. It's just he's flying through. Oh, he's doing some more.
so
Michelle.
this is more FPV. This is what I was doing was they would run this whole obstacle course, and then I would follow them after they got to this truck, and they would drive through the rest of the course.
Wow.
It's really exciting when you're flying an expensive drone that has no stabilization at all around a bunch of really expensive lighting and trusses and equipment that they're like, yeah, do this, but don't hit anything because we don't want to damage. Obviously, don't want to damage anything. Like, yeah, okay,
gosh,
sure, I will try to do that. And I didn't crash once. And a couple of the bigwigs at Caterpillar came up to me after the fact. They were like, man, I can't believe you didn't hit anything the whole entire, because I had to fly that like 50 times, I think.
Look at that.
And just gather shots of these guys as they were coming through to the finish line.
If you're listening to this later on a podcast, he is on this huge set with giant tractors all over, and flames are coming up and sparklers and girders, and he's flying through all this stuff. So that, I guess, I don't know anything about this. You're not sitting there with, ooh, obstacle avoidance.
No, that was me with a pair of these and shaky fingers on the controls, trying not to run into things, but also capture good footage.
That's incredible. So. My RC helicopter can not only flip but hover upside down. My brother, many years ago, used to do RC helicopters. Nope. Can't do it. Not doing it.
So, Wilderness Hiker asked if he could see the drone with the red. So that was the footage I was just showing you. But this is the drone with the red.
Oh.
There's a couple little parts I put on here so I can hit the angle if I want.
Yeah, let's have a gander at that thing with the red. Wow. Man,
let's see.
That's like first version, Skynet.
Right. It looks really mean, doesn't it?
Whoa,
look at that.
Look at that. Now, you build these yourself?
Yeah, so these ones, the FPV drones, nobody's really built them commercially until real recently. So all of the FPV drones I have, I built and programmed myself, which is a whole nother ball of wax.
That is incredible. Hey, we're at an hour, and I'm trying to be good. Let's do this one more time. If you are not already like a drone flyer, or if you just want to throw some coins at Jake, which you should because he's awesome, there's this course. And hey, on the regular YouTube channel I'm streaming on, I'm totally okay with super chats. Ching! Which
Super chats are awesome.
we're not gonna get. Oh yeah. If anybody found out how much I spend on coffee every month, they'd be like, yeah. Talking to you, Kaladi Coffee. That's the course. It's if you're a existing drone pilot and you're up and down, you're left and right, and you got all that stuff, and you can fly through stuff, and you understand all the terms and the circular blah blah and all that stuff, you could take the course to support Jake or maybe refresh. If you're thinking about a drone, I suggest, this is just me, I suggest you pick up maybe the Mini 2 or whatever you want, whatever brand you want, take the course and go. It's a good place to start. Mr. Jake, gosh, I appreciate you really taking the time to be on the show, dude. Like big time. Really appreciate it.
Always my pleasure. It's been, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I, people may not know this, but we get into all kinds of meme and GIF wars on Twitter, and we go back and forth a lot about a lot of different things. Kevin and I think maybe we should do a live stream marathon someday where we just could rant and see how many hours we would go
awesome.
Before we were both like, and yeah, okay, I don't have anything left to rant about.
Well,
I have a feeling it would be like 2 days.
I'm practicing on Twitter because I know Soundspeed's Alan. He's the king of comebacks and GIFs, and they go down all these windy roads. So I'm practicing with different people because I'm going to have a throwdown. Hey, look at this. Woo! Tom Buck. Thank you, sir. That's awesome. And we're going to have Tom Buck on, not next week, the following week, to talk about podcasting. He kind of, like Jake, he kind of knows stuff like that. But yeah, we should do a rant sometime that nobody cares about. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Very much thank you. He's awesome. I love Tom.
A big, long rant about all the things that just really get under our skin.
Like, what video editor should you use? What camera should you use? Mac or Windows? Man, that's a good hour or two right there. That's awesome. Kevin is the best at ranting. That's awesome. Hey, man, thanks for coming on the stream. Thanks for being a guest. I love your course, dude. Love your channel.
Thanks.
I should end. It's over an hour. Are you considering, even for a moment, possibly going to NAB in October if it's safe?
Yes. If it's good, like if they're going to have it in person, I want to go for sure. Cause I really, especially being in Alaska, there's not, I mean, there are some YouTubers, but not a lot. And Alaska's huge. So we're all really, really far away from each other. I really want to get out and meet some of my people, my own kind.
Yeah. My first year there, I was a bit lost, but gosh, man, I got to hook up with MixPre 3 guys, sound devices, and Aperture, and hang out with Ted and a few other people, and iFootage guys, Curtis, Dave. And after that, I was hooked. It wasn't so much the gear or the show. It was meeting the people, meeting the companies.
Yeah, and that's what for me, especially because like you and I, we've been interacting for, I don't know, over a year now on Twitter and on YouTube and various social spaces. But getting to meet in person that's something, really, really want to do.
And I'm really hoping this whole, okay, here comes a little label on both these video, COVID. There we go. So now we'll get the little label. I really hope it's over. I don't want to sound creepy. I'm very much, I can hear sound speeds now jumping all of. I'm a kind of a touchy-feely guy. And what I mean by that is I really miss shaking hands.
Yeah.
I really miss fist pumps. I think when Curtis flipped out because we had, same as you and I, we had been going, him and his brother walked in. The first thing I noticed was he looked like about twice as tall as I am. I was like, yeah! Walked up to him, big hug, and he was like, whoa! Just because I like people. So there you go. Cool. Oh, we're going to get Kevin drunk, and we'll have it on camera. Oh, no, you're not. Because I know my limits, which is about half a glass of wine, maybe a full glass if I've had food, and I'm done. So, cheap date. Anyway, hey, Jake, thank you again for being on the stream. I really, really appreciate it. Thank everybody else for being on both these streams and your questions. I learned a lot. I always do. And next week, we're going to have Andre from Worth It or Not. He's going to be discussing what it's like to run a review channel. That's what he does. Honest reviews and everything else. Great guy. Another guy that's taller than... How tall are you, Jake?
6'4".
Damn it.
6'4".
Really?
Yep.
Like you're not joking.
No, I'm
Damn
6'4".
You're 6'4". Curtis is like 6'6". I think Andre's like 6'5" or... Like, am I...
That's why every time I go out to film something, I'm always looking for a place that there's a little dip right where I can set my camera tripod up a little bit, because otherwise I have to film like this to be in the shot, because the camera tripod only goes up to like, 5'6" or something.
Well, I'm going to be hanging out mostly with Dave, because he's about the same height as me. Because, wow, are you really that tall? Everybody I know is so tall. The hell? Yeah. Damn it. Me and Kevin are going to be the shortest people at NAB. Yep.
It's okay.
Absolutely.
We'll take a group shot, and you and Kevin can be right in front, and then the
Worth
rest
it
of
or
us will
not.
be around the back.
Yeah, I think on Instagram or Twitter, I posted something. I was joking. I had knelt down and was looking up at Curtis. But if you see him and his brother, I can't believe it. Dave, Mr. Postguller Gear, yeah, we need to bring Apple boxes. Hey, thanks a lot for joining me, Jake. Hey, thank you all for joining us in the live stream. I really, really do appreciate it. As YouTube creators, all these people in here know, Jake knows, I know, we couldn't do what we do without you guys and girls at all. We just couldn't do it. We appreciate you more than you ever know. Thanks for joining. See you later. Thank you, Mr. Sloan. And we'll see you next week. And we'll do my little outro thing. Here we go, because apparently people like this. See you later.